Yes, welcome into Sports Bet. Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy, Tuesday, October 10th. Deep dive. Tuesday means Dave Mason, BetOnline. We'll recap the weekend, how the players in the books did. We look to stay hot with the play of the day. We got a baseball pick coming up, big game breakdown. Cubs and Nationals, game 4, day game, and an early look at the Eagles and the Panthers. Good Thursday night game, 4-1 against 4-1. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Monday Night Football, Vikings win, they don't cover. Unless you got it early with the look-ahead lines, and they opened up. It was hard to get to the window early with the Vikings because you didn't know the status of Bradford. In any event, I can't believe the Vikings cleared him, and Zimmer thought he was a better option than Keenum. He couldn't move. He had 30 yards passing. The Vikings had 50 yards of offense in the first half and led 3-2. They win 20-17.
Yes, second half over got there. But the dog and under cash in at the closing lines. Now, there were -2s and -2.5s out there for Minnesota before the official Bradford announcement. So the best bettors were able to cash in on Minnesota, even though most bettors lost their Minnesota tickets. But the bottom line closing, it's dog and under. But, I mean, what did we see last night, really? We saw a rookie quarterback in Mitch Trubisky. He's got the talent. He made a ton of rookie mistakes. The only touchdown pass that he had was a mistake that he got away with. A ball thrown in the middle of the field, hit the defender's hands first, and then caught by the Bears receiver. But, Chicago is what they are. They're a 1-4 football team with a rookie quarterback and very limited receiving talent. Though the Vikings may be what they are right now, a good defensive team that lacks quarterback. I'm with you, Paulie. I was baffled to figure out how Sam Bradford got cleared to start last night. He didn't look right from the opening snap, and Minnesota's offense didn't start to move at all until he was taken out of the ballgame.
All right. It was one of the best days in MLB playoff history. You had games from 10 in the morning Pacific to 11 o'clock at night. All 4 series were going on. This started the day in the rain. Sale against Verlander in relief. How good was that? Inside the park home run. Bases loaded. Jams left and right. A little bit of Houston money and the under bet down to 10 in some spots. 5-4 Astros. And oh man, they're lucky they won because Hinch would have been roasted if they lost that game for the first time, not in his life. For the first time in his life, Verlander came out of the bullpen and gave up a home run to Benintendi, but Sale gave it up in the 8th, and the Astros win and move on to the ALCS Game 1 Friday.
Yeah, and when you start reading these Houston quotes about Justin Verlander and how amazing they played with Verlander in the lineup so far, it came out of the bullpen yesterday. Here's a quote from third baseman Alex Bregman, quote, "When we saw Verlander run to the pen, we said, our horse is on the mound. We need to win this game." That's kind of the whole energy that he's brought since we brought him over here. He's brought an energy with him that, hey, when he's out there, we're going to win. That's something you may want to note if you ever see Justin Verlander trotting out to the bullpen to warm up. Maybe that's the time to get involved with an in-running wager supporting the Houston Astros. Astros are the team to beat, Paulie, except for the other teams we're going to talk about. Man, the championship series are going to be good this year.
Well, we'll see who they play Friday because the Indians now have lost 2 in a row. Bauer had nothing. Yankees win 7-3. Severino, good enough. I'll tell you what, Game 5 tomorrow, you can't throw Betances if you're Girardi. He has no idea where the ball's going. Some Yankee fans are pissed off because they think the series should be over because of Girardi's blunder in Game 2. Game 5 tomorrow, and the Indians are horrible in closeout games since 1997.
Sure. It's going to be Sabathia and Kluber on Wednesday. BetOnline opened -175 and 7.5. We've seen a little bit of early Indians money. Now, it's worth noting, this is the same matchup in Game 2, and the Tribe closed -$2 there. So a little bit of market adjustment towards the Yankees. And, of course, Luis Severino last night, completely different pitcher from the guy that we saw in his first postseason start. His second postseason start, yeah, he gave up a couple of home runs, but that's because he was attacking the strike zone. 9 strikeouts, only 1 walk. And when you have an early 5-0 lead, Yankees were able to cruise behind Severino thereafter.
What happened here? Dodgers sweep the Diamondbacks. I thought the regular season series mattered. I thought that meant something. Get out the broom. 3-0, not even close. How good are the Dodgers? They sweep the Diamondbacks. They don't even have to throw Alex Wood, who won 16 games. Game 1 NLCS, Dodgers Stadium. Kershaw rested, ready to go. Dodgers trying to make the World Series for the first time since 1988. 4 wins away.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the Dodgers are the team to beat, right? It's not the Astros, it's the Dodgers. Or is it the Indians? Or wait, what about the defending world champs? I'm telling you, it's going to be fun. But I'll tell you something else. If Yu Darvish pitches like he did last night, the Dodgers are going to be real tough to beat. He pitched. This is the guy again, an 0.7 ERA, an 0.47 ERA in his last 3 regular season starts. It came out last night. It was mowing down Arizona. He was nasty in that contest. I wonder if Dave Roberts thinks, hey, let's get Darvish to number 2 in the next series. Of course, with the extra time off, he's going to have ample time to prepare and get his rotation set up for whoever their next round opponent is going to be.
Up next, big game breakdown. What a game we have Thursday night. Eagles and Panthers, and we'll get to game 4. Can the Cubs knock off the Nationals and finish that series? Straight ahead on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today. Time for big game breakdown. Always sponsored and powered by BetOnline. Check out the bonus page, sportsbookreview.com, for the latest and best offers to open a new account today. What a matchup we have Thursday, 4-1 against 4-1. New Philly at Carolina. Panthers are 3.5, 46 the total. Cam Newton, after the early season struggles, has been terrific the last couple of games. So you want to say big deal. It was New England's defense. He was great. And then he played well last week as well in the road win against Detroit. Look at the passer rating, 130.8 and 141.8. 2 big road wins, 4-1. We know they have a good defense. And it doesn't make any sense that he's playing so well because Benjamin's been banged up and they lost Greg Olsen with the broken foot.
Well, I mean, the whole story with Cam Newton coming into the season, this is a guy who was hurt last year, who didn't get his offseason work in with his teammates, who missed most of training camp. I honestly think that he wasn't healthy and he needed a little bit of time to get ready. But when you're talking about 48 of 62 for 771 yards and 6 touchdowns over the last 2 ball games, both on the road, you're talking about a QB that's doing something right. When you're talking about a quarterback whose passer ratings over the last 2 games are his 4th and 7th best of his career, you're doing something right. Look at the quote from linebacker. This is on the defense side of the football for Carolina. Thomas Davis, quote, "We had a lot of people who were counting him out at the beginning of the season, really because we kind of limited some of the things he was capable of doing. But now you see him going out and running the ball again. His arm strength is back, and he's putting the ball on the money." Of course, the Panthers needed everything they can get from Cam Newton against Detroit because the running game didn't get going at all in that contest. Just 28 carries for 28 yards. And you look at the running backs so far this season for Carolina. Jonathan Stewart at 3.3 yards per carry. Christian McCaffrey at 2.8. That's not a good running game for Carolina, something they're going to need to improve. Although that defense, they've been dynamite. Number 4 in the NFL in yards per play allowed at 4.8.
He has a terrific weapon in McCaffrey, though. He's got to use him throwing the ball. He already had a 100-yard receiving game earlier in the season. Eagles were great Sunday against Arizona. Complete game, full team win, 34-7. Wentz had 4 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers. 3 in the first quarter. It was 21-0 in a hurry. Torrey Smith caught a 70-yard touchdown pass. Aguilar had a long touchdown. Torrey Smith, Carson's a beast. Sliding off a guy, staying calm in the pocket, makes the big-time throw. That's what our team's capable of. Smith, Jeffrey, Aguilar catching the ball, live up to the hype. But Lane Johnson is in the concussion protocol. Remember, they need him big time. He had the suspension last year, and all hell broke loose.
Well, he had the suspension last year, and a team that got off to a 3-0 start then proceeded to go 1-9 in their next 10 ball games. The markets aren't going to sleep on Lane Johnson. And in fact, when we saw off the opener here, the first money was Carolina money. Most of the 3s got bet to 3.5. There are still some 3s out there, including BetOnline has 3 with extra juice. The broader market's at 3.5, hence the 3.5 on the graphic to open the discussion of this particular game. But line shoppers at this time can find a -3 or a +3.5, whichever side they have. And the reason that the market's moved was because of Lane Johnson. Everyone was aware as the season progressed how different Philadelphia played with Johnson in the lineup. You don't often see a point spread adjusted because of an offensive lineman injury. They have Halapu. I'm going to butcher the name. I'm just going to call it Vaitai. Yeah. Vaitai replaced him last year, and he really wasn't ready as a rookie. He played much better in relief of Lane Johnson against Arizona last week. Here's a quote from Carson Wentz. Quote, "We didn't miss a beat. Big V stepped up, and it seemed like he did a great job. We know Lane's a heck of a football player. Hopefully he can recover and be ready to go. We'll see what happens. But at the same time, Big V's had tons of valuable experience and reps last year, and he got a ton better. So we feel solid. If Lane's not ready to go, we know Big V will be ready." So Wentz sounds confident that even without Lane Johnson, the offense can continue to click.
Looks like a great game on paper. I lean under in that one, with the exception of LA and San Francisco. Usually these games are sloppy, and we don't see a lot of points. Game number 2 today, depends where you are. 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 on the East Coast. Cubs try to finish off the Nationals. It's Roark against Arrieta. Cubs are $1.50, 7.5 the total. A rare overnight total at Wrigley. And thanks to BetOnline, sponsored by BetOnline, it's $1.50 at BetOnline. Well, what do we say, Teddy? Dusty Baker, a horrible manager. And we gave a big edge to Madden in this matchup. Who pulls their pitcher, who's got a no-no going into the 7th, gives up 1 hit, takes him out. He's worried about Schwarber, who's hitting .210, who was hitting .170 earlier in the season and sent down. He has first base open. He pitches to Rizzo. And like many people tweeted after the game, how do you have a no-no going into the 7th? And then you go to your bullpen, and your 2 best relievers don't even get in the game. Nationals lose again. Cubs win 2-1. The Cubs had as many errors as hits, and they still won.
Okay, so much to talk about here, but we're very critical of Dusty Baker on the show. We have been consistently. At the start of the series, we said there's no way that Dusty Baker can be favored over Joe Madden in a playoff series. Recommending a play of the day on the Chicago Cubs for this series. And we saw why. I mean, I understand Dusty Baker, maybe 20 years ago. Dusty Baker in 2017, no freaking way. Scherzer as sharp as it gets. Here's a quote from Dusty Baker. Well, talking about the decision of pulling Scherzer. Well, it was very difficult, but we thought Max had enough, especially coming off the injury. And Schwarber is a dangerous man. I probably couldn't live with myself if Schwarber had hit one out of the park, which he's dangerous enough to do. Now, again, Scherzer, number 3 in Major League Baseball in ERA, number 4 in fielding and independent pitching, number 3 in WAR, and he got pulled while throwing a one-hitter against a guy that's hitting .211. Yep. Okay, yep. Do what you do, Dusty. The Cubs survived 4 errors, 2 on the same play by Schwarber, but in this game, we have seen some money on the Cubs, and we have seen some money on the over, but I can understand the over money, Pauly. We'll talk about it when it comes to play of the daytime. Yes. But this is a game, it's really hard to trust either one of these starters right now.
I'm with you. It could be Arrieta's final start as a Cub. He's going to be a free agent. He had missed time because of the hammy. He was great in the second half. Going into September, though, he struggled in a couple starts as well. No confidence in Arrieta. I think it's going to be a bullpen game. Arrieta has terrible numbers in his career against the Nationals as well. Roark, I don't know what to make of him either. But what's going on with this Nationals offense, though? Remember, Hendricks shut him out in Game 1. In Game 2, it was 3-1 in the bottom of the 8th till Edwards and the Cubs bullpen imploded. And then yesterday, Schwarber drops a routine fly ball. That's the only run they scored. I mean, the Cubs starters have shut this offense down.
Yeah, and Chicago's pitching's been very good in this series. I don't know that Arrieta can match that performance today. When you look at the graphic with his September numbers, I mean, we're talking about a guy that's, 18 base runners in 10 innings of work. He's given up 9 runs in 10 innings of work, and he's not eating up innings. So you're right. This is going to be a bullpen type game. But, you look at Roark, yeah, the season-long numbers are pretty good, 14-11, 4.67. I mean, they're, as a guy who eats up innings, that's a regular season skill set. He's only made 2 appearances since September 21st. He gave up 6 runs in 4 innings in his final start against Philadelphia. Not exactly an elite offense. And then he gave up 2 runs in 1 innings of work against Pittsburgh on October 1st. So he hasn't made a playoff career start before. He's not in any kind of rhythm. And The Cubs offense is the one that's been going yard. Yeah, but I mean, what's happening to the Nats offense? I don't think it's dead, Pauly. It's on life support, though, certainly heading in to game number 4. Washington, wouldn't be surprised if they get their bats going today. Of course, if the game gets played and gets finished, good chance of rain at Wrigley. So we could see some delays here as well, which could make these stints for the starters particularly short.
Do what you did yesterday in Fenway. Play through the rain. No big deal. Let's go. Up next, Dave Mason, BetOnline. Recap how the weekend went and play of the day on SportsBet. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
It's deep dive time here on SportsBet. And like we are every Tuesday, we're joined by Dave Mason from betonline.ag. Dave, how was your weekend? How you holding up on a Tuesday morning?
Hey, Teddy, good weekend. Profitable weekend for the book. Not a huge win by any means. College was a decent little win, believe it or not, and NFL was a good one too.
Now, that's a surprise to me in some regards, because certainly, let me just throw this graphic up there right now. We do a segment every Friday. We call it Pros versus Joes, and we talk about the most popular professional bets, from the wise guys in the NFL, and the most popular recreational bets in the NFL. And this is what that chart looked like last week. I had the pros on the Chargers winner, Bengals winner, Panthers winner, Seahawks winner. I had the Joes on the Jets winner, Eagles winner, Packers winner, and Chiefs winner. And yet the pros won all their big decisions. The Joes won all their big decisions. And yet you guys still had a good day on Sunday. Explain.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
not that I'm cross-examining you or anything, put you on the spot.
No.
But it just...
No, it was a good day. It was there were some big winners, no doubt, for the players. That Jets game was huge. I mean, that was their biggest win of the day. That was the biggest decision outside the Sunday night, even including the Sunday night game. That was the biggest decision of the day. The public was all over the Jets. We had some big ones too. I mean, that Jaguars game was huge. I mean, that was them just winning outright. I mean, that blew up teasers. Every other teaser was on that. The Steelers on that one. Panthers was massive as well for us. Everybody was on the Lions. The Chiefs, I mean, we took sharp action on the Chiefs as well. That pick them to the public, and the Sharps won on that game. And yeah, that game was another these primetime games. every primetime game is going to the players. It seems like the last two weeks, 2.5 weeks maybe. So no, overall it was a good day. Action was great. We probably lost half our profits with that Sunday night game though. We're up a nice chunk and we gave a lot back on that Sunday night game.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly happy with that result either. Let me ask you about this, the concept of the teaser killer. All right, when you have one team that's very popular on teaser plays like Pittsburgh, and they ended up losing the game by 3 touchdowns at home and kills every teaser, does that one game save you for the whole day's worth of teasers? Or do you really need 2 or 3 good teaser killers to make sure that you're not paying out the players too much?
Well, I mean, it's so popular. Players are the most popular teaser, as you know, are those games that are like the 6 to 8, 9 point favorites. So there weren't many of them on that betting board this weekend. Sometimes there's 5 or 6 games that are the spread is between 6 and 9 points. So, there's all sorts of combinations there. But this weekend, I think there was only 2 games perhaps that was in that popular teaser range of 6 points to 8.5 points. So yeah, so many more games are keyed on that Steelers game than a normal week where there's 5-6 games with that 6 to 9 point spread. So it was really good for teasers this weekend because of that, because so few games were on that that point spread. So yeah.
So there were a bunch of bad beats in college football. Let's shift our focus to what happened on Saturday this past week. And you had a bad beat with Minnesota plus the points and the under in that game. A really tough beat if you laid 22 with Auburn. Stanford -3, wire to wire. Oops, Utah comes in through the back door. The almost bad beat where Cal calls timeout with 2 seconds left and attempts a field goal to cover the point spread. When it comes to the bad beats, and of course it was a bad snap, They didn't end up covering and losing by 28. Sorry, by 31 as 28.5-point underdogs. But in these bad beats, do you guys take it in the rear, or is it mostly the bettors that ends up having a rough time with them?
I mean, long term, it's 50-50, right? That's the way I see it.
The theory goes, yeah.
I have no stats to back any of that up. I just talk about personal experience, and you just got to keep that in the back of your mind when you lose one of those bad beats. You're might win the next, and they all even out in the end of the day. So, but I think the human race, we're all kind of geared on, kind of the victim mentality where it's against us. So we know those bad beats, they just impact us psychologically so much more than when we luck out on the other side. So, that end of the day, they all even out. I know we don't really think about it that way, but that's how I'm wired. I bet a lot of fights, and I can name fights that I lost on, but then, poor judging and all that. And then the next fight, you win because of the poor judging. So you just got to think long term. They're going to even out for you, for the book and for the better.
Sure. As a bettor, you certainly remember the bad beats more than you remember your lucky wins. I remember I cashed with Seattle on the Fail Mary.
Yeah.
There's been a handful of those. Oh yeah, I won that one. But when you think about the bad beats over the years, I could rattle off a dozen, right off the top of my head without even thinking twice. One more game I want to talk about, and this, I was told from some bookmakers, was one of the worst games in the history of Las Vegas. That's LSU winning by 1 over Florida on Saturday, a game where the Gators opened as high as -6.5, -7, closed in the LSU -1.5, -2 range, so a huge point spread move, and then it lands right in the middle. Was that bad for BOL? And if so, how bad was it?
It was bad, but I mean, there were decisions that were worse. It wasn't even near our worst ever. Wasn't even our worst of the day, to tell you the truth.
What was your worst on Saturday then?
Penn State, Washington State, Miami. They were all worse. LSU was probably right there, number 4. but no, the three of those. I mean, they were worse, definitely. That Penn State game, we got murdered on. Miami and Washington State late. We needed Oregon for everything. So especially that late, being a late game, that just murdered us.
Very interesting book report from Dave Mason from BetOnline.ag. Dave, let our viewers know. Give me one good special they can take advantage of this week at BetOnline.ag.
Well, if you do not have a BetOnline.ag account, head on over to BetOnline.ag and sign up for an account. Use promo code NEW2500 for a one-time 50% welcome bonus. The max bonus is $2,500. All the terms and conditions can be found at BetOnline.ag/promotions.
Thanks so much, Dave Mason. We'll do it again next week.
Excellent job, Teddy. Every Tuesday, it's Dave Mason, Bet Online. It was wacky with the bad beats and shenanigans in college football and big upsets. It always delivers on Saturday, and you saw what transpired in the NFL. Back to the Nationals and the Cubs. Cubs to win the series. Cubs yesterday a winner. Let's go to a total. 955, 956. Nats Cubs over 7.5. 3 strong pitching matchups. This is the week one. Roark against Arrieta. We think they'll get lit up early, and the bullpens will get involved as well. I don't like either middle relief for both teams. Let's go over 7.5 in this one and another winner with play of the day. We're back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends. Fun time of the year. Less than a week away from the start of the NBA season. Playoff baseball and some good games this week in college football and the NFL on Sportsbet. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com. Thanks for watching.